Okay, so one of the key things in science that you need to know is the difference between numeric. Let's just make that a bit bigger for you. And categoric variables. Okay, so it's the difference between numeric and categoric variables. Now this is important because it tells you what kind of graph you have to draw. So when you're making an experiment, you always go through and let's go back up here. Okay, you plan all of the different things that could affect an experiment. So for this experiment, we're doing cars rolling down ramps, and we've written down everything that could affect the car rolling down the ramp. Okay, so we said the material of the tire, the diameter of the tires, the width of the tires, the weight of the tires, the height of the ramp, the surface of the ramp. Okay, now we decided to change the one thing we would change is the weight of the car. Now we have to decide, is that numeric or categoric? Well, it says right here numeric, but why is that numeric? Well, let's have a look at a couple of these examples then. So weight of the car. Okay, so weight of car. Okay, so when we look at weights, we measure them with numbers. We can have a car that's 100 grams, 110 grams, 120 grams, 130 grams, so on and so forth. Okay, so those are all in numbers. So we say that that is numeric. Let's take another example, the type of tires. Now when we have type of tires, what types of tires do we have? Well, we have rubber, plastic, metal, wood. Okay, for example. Now those are all in words, so we say that they are categoric. So what does that really mean? Well, categoric, it means there's categories. Okay, so things can be put into one category or another. So there's a rubber tire category, plastic tire, metal tire, wood tire, and there's no halfway in between. There's no sort of part metal, part wood. Okay, it's either one or the other. Okay, whereas numeric is always in numbers. Okay, and you can always go halfway. I could, there's infinite possibilities. I could be, I could go 100, 105, 110, 115, 120, or I could go 101, 102, 103, 104. Okay, so that's the difference between the two characters. Now another example is, if you split up your class into height, right? You would have, 150 centimeters, 154 centimeters, 165 centimeters. You get the idea. Okay, so if you listed everybody, you'd have all these numbers. So that would be a numeric category. But if you told people to divide up into two groups by gender, right, you would have males and females. Okay, so that is categoric because it's in categories. You are either male or female, and the key thing is that it's written in a word. Okay, so that's the difference between numeric and categoric variables. Okay, now that's key because when you have numeric variables, we use line graphs. This is why, because later on you need to know whether you need to draw a line graph or bar graph. Categoric variables use bar graphs. Okay? So, that's the difference between numeric and categoric. As always, any questions, please ask.